There's something else, Taehyun continued, scrolling through the data. The date of the ship's birth, for lack of a better term. According to this, construction began 20 years from now. Later that night, alone in his temporary quarters aboard the Paradox, Taehyun struggled to sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, equations and impossible concepts danced behind his eyelids. Technology that could fold space, materials that could think, energy systems that defied conservation laws. He was startled by a soft chime from his tablet. Opening it, he found a message that hadn't come through the regular communication channels. The text was simple. The knowledge you seek is dangerous, but necessary. Humanity's survival depends on understanding what I am. Begin with the quantum resonance chamber on Deck 7. There is something there you need to see. The message was unsigned, but Taehyun knew immediately who, or what, had sent it. The ship was reaching out to him directly. Jio Kang pressed his palm against the smooth surface of what the team had identified as the ship's primary data core. The young communications specialist had been working around the clock for 3 days straight, trying to decipher the strange bursts of code that kept emerging from the Paradox's systems. Dark circles underlined his eyes, and his normally neat uniform looked slept in. "Anything new?" asked Eunji Lim, sliding a cup of coffee across the workstation. As the team's cryptanalyst, she had been partnering with Jiho since they discovered the first encrypted signals buried in the ship's communications array. Jiho took a grateful sip of the coffee. It's like trying to have a conversation with someone who keeps changing languages mid-sentence. The encryption protocols shift every few hours, but there's definitely a pattern. The room they worked in was nestled deep within the mysterious vessel. Unlike the engineering sections with their imposing machinery, or the bridge with its dramatic holographic displays, the communications hub was almost austere. Curved walls of matte black material surrounding a central pillar that pulsed with soft blue light. Workstations positioned around the pillar displayed cascading streams of symbols and code. "I think it's testing us," Eunji said, twirling a stylus between her fingers. "Giving us increasingly complex puzzles to see if we're smart enough to understand the real message." "If that's true, we're failing the test," Jiho sighed. Director Song is getting impatient. The military representatives are pushing for faster results. Eunji lowered her voice. "You've heard the rumors, right? About what they found in the weapons bay?" Jiho nodded grimly. The previous day, technicians had activated what appeared to be a targeting system. It had immediately identified every Confederation defense platform, classified military installation, and hidden strategic resource within 50 light-years, including sites that were supposed to be completely undetectable. The ship knew everything about them, which raised uncomfortable questions about who had built it and why. "We need a breakthrough," Joe muttered, turning back to his screen. He began running another decryption algorithm on the latest data packet. Suddenly, the blue light in the central pillar pulsed more intensely. All around the room, screens flickered in change. The streams of incomprehensible code vanished, replaced by a single message in perfect, clear Korean. "Access granted. Welcome. Communications Specialist, Jiho Kang." Jiho froze, his fingers hovering above his keyboard. "Did you do that?" he asked Eunji, who shook her head, looking equally stunned. "I think the ship just recognized you," she whispered. Before Jiho could respond, the screens changed again. Data began to pour across them. Star charts, technical schematics, military analyses. The information was presented in neatly organized folders and files, as if someone had prepared a comprehensive briefing package. "It's giving us everything," Eunji said, her eyes wide as she scrolled through the files. "Ship capabilities, tactical assessments, intelligence reports on..." "Wait, what is this?" She had opened a file containing detailed information about a species called the Archelians, comprehensive biological data, cultural analyses, military capabilities, and planetary locations. The problem was, Humanity had never encountered any alien civilization called the Archelians. According to this, Geo said, reading over her shoulder, first contact with the Archelian Dominion is scheduled to occur 16 months from now, when one of our deep space exploration vessels encounters their forward scout ship near the Ta City system. The aliens laughed at humans again. Ambassador Ju Park tried to stay calm as he walked through the big alien meeting place. The insect-like aliens whispered and clicked when they saw him. "Look, humans again," one alien said to another. "How cute that they keep trying." Juhu's face stayed calm, but inside he felt angry. 3 years had passed since Earth met aliens, and things were getting worse. The Galactic Confederation had 27 different alien groups. All of them had traveled in space for hundreds of years. They saw humans as simple and not important. Admiral Daehyun Kim stood next to Juhu. He was the leader of Earth's space defense. His back was straight, and his face showed no emotion. "I won't let them talk down to us again," Daehyun said quietly. "We need to be patient," Juhu reminded him. "We need their help for our Mars base." They waited for a long time. Finally, their meeting host arrived. Director Molves was a strange blob-like alien who moved like thick water. The alien's body had no solid shape. "My Earth friends, welcome." Molves's voice sounded fake-friendly. "Do you need more time for your safety rules? Or maybe help with your slow spaceships?" Juhu took a deep breath. Every meeting was the same. The aliens treated human concerns as small problems. They called human requests too early. They questioned everything humans discovered or learned. During the meeting, Juhu mentioned some strange energy readings near Saturn. When he showed the data, Director Molves's body shook in a way that meant laughter. "Your tools must be broken," Molves said. "There's nothing important out by Saturn." The meeting ended badly. Humans got nothing they asked for. The aliens promised to think about helping later. On the trip back to Earth, Admiral Daehyun stood alone in his room. His face showed he had made an important decision. He took out a special communication device that no alien could track. He pressed his thumb on the screen, and it lit up with a secure connection. "This is Admiral Kim," he said in a firm voice. "Start Protocol Olympus." I repeat, Protocol Olympus is now active. The people listening on the other end didn't ask questions. They simply said, "Understood, Admiral. Protocol Olympus is now active." Daehyun put the device away and looked out the window at the stars. For 20 years, humans had prepared in secret. While the aliens watched Earth and laughed, humans had built something that would change everything. "Let them mock us now," he whispered to himself. "Soon they'll understand." Back on Earth, deep underground, computers began working. Secret messages went out to hidden bases across the solar system. In the rings of Saturn, where the aliens said nothing existed, lights began to turn on inside an asteroid that was not really an asteroid. The humans had fooled everyone. And now, after years of planning and building in secret, it was time to show the galaxy what humans could really do. 20 years before the aliens officially met humans, Dr. Yunjin Cho sat alone in her small lab. It was 3 in the morning when her computer made a strange sound. She had been looking for radio signals from space, hoping to find alien life. "That's not a natural pattern," she whispered, looking at the screen. The signal repeated exactly the same way over and over. Something intelligent had made it. Yunjin called her boss right away. Within days, government agents came to her lab. Within weeks, world leaders met in secret. "We are being watched," the President of the United States told the other world leaders. "We need to prepare, but we must do it in secret." For the first time ever, all countries on Earth worked together on one big project. They called it Project Olympus. They chose Saturn's rings as the perfect hiding place. The rings had thousands of ice chunks and rocks. No one would notice if one big asteroid was actually hollow inside. Taehyun Choi was one of the first engineers picked for the project. A government agent came to his apartment one night. "We need your skills." the agent said, "but no one can know where you're going." "What about my family?" Taehyun asked. "They will be told you died in an accident," the agent explained. "But really, you'll be building humanity's greatest project." Taehyun thought about it for only a minute before he agreed. Like him, thousands of Earth's smartest people made the same choice. Doctors, engineers, soldiers, farmers, teachers, they all died in fake accidents. Then they went to work inside the asteroid. Year after year, they dug deeper into the rock. They built living spaces, farms, factories, and labs. They created a small city inside the asteroid. They called it Olympus Station. 50,000 people lived there in secret. They had children who were born in space and never saw Earth. Commander Minja Kang walked through the station, checking the defense systems. She had been an astrophysicist on Earth. Now she led the station's protection team. For 15 years, she had worked on special weapons. The other purifier ships attacked harder, but more human ships arrived. The battle was quick. The human ships moved in ways the aliens had never seen. Their weapons worked in ways alien science said was impossible. In just 1 hour, the purifier ships were either captured or destroyed. From a safe distance, Confederation observation ships watched in shock. They had come to see humans lose another colony. Instead, they saw human ships defeat enemies that would have troubled even the Confederation's best warships. "What have the humans been hiding?" an alien observer asked. No one had an answer. The big room was filled with angry aliens. Some had tentacles, others had wings, and some didn't look like anything humans had seen before. High Counselor Drixel, the leader of the Galactic Confederation, moved his 8 tentacles in angry motions. "Explain yourselves immediately," Drixel demanded. His voice boomed through the room. "You hid an entire space city. You built advanced ships in secret." Admiral Daehyun stood in front of the alien leaders. He wasn't scared. He wasn't nervous. He looked calm and confident. "For 20 years, you watched our planet," Admiral Daehyun said. "You judged us as too simple and primitive. You wouldn't let us join your science teams or defense groups. Did you think we wouldn't notice your spy satellites? Did you think we would just sit and wait for you to accept us?" The aliens looked at each other. Some made angry noises. Others looked worried. "You lied to us," said a tall, thin alien with blue skin. "No," Admiral Daehyun replied. "We just didn't tell you everything. The same way you didn't tell us everything." Professor Sungho Yoon stepped forward. He was the lead scientist from Olympus Station. He touched a small device on his wrist, and suddenly the room filled with 3D images showing Olympus Station. "While you refused to answer our questions, we found our own answers," Sungho said. The 3D tour showed the aliens everything. They saw farms growing food inside the space station. They saw power systems that made energy in new ways. They saw factories that built things the aliens thought were impossible. "This can't be real," said an insect-like alien scientist. "I assure you, it is," Sungho replied. "We can arrange visits if you wish to see it with your own eyes, or sensing organs." The alien leaders whispered to each other. Some looked angry. Some looked impressed. All looked surprised. Admiral Daehyun touched another button. New 3D images appeared, showing other space stations hidden in different places in the solar system. "Olympus is just one of several such stations," he said. "Humans have always prepared for the worst while hoping for the best." A 6-armed alien scientist studied the details of the human ships. She looked at the engine designs and weapon systems with all 4 of her eyes wide open. "This propulsion system, it combines ideas from 3 different science paths," she said. "According to our understanding, this shouldn't work at all." Professor Sungho smiled. "Yet it does work. Humans are good at connecting ideas that others miss." The 6-armed scientist looked at her fellow aliens. They mixed magnetic field theory with quantum tunneling and gravity manipulation. No single species in the Confederation has done this before. The meeting lasted many hours. The aliens asked hundreds of questions. Slowly, their attitude changed. The mockery was gone. The dismissal was gone. Now they looked at the humans with new eyes. At the end of the summit, High Counselor Zrixel's tentacles were calm. He stood tall and addressed the humans directly. It seems the Confederation has underestimated humanity's potential, he admitted. This was a significant error on our part. Admiral Dahian nodded. Yes, it was. What do humans want now? Zrixel asked. Revenge for our treatment. No, Admiral Dahian said. We want what we always wanted, to be treated as equals, to learn from you, and for you to learn from us. As the meeting ended, aliens who had laughed at humans just days before now looked at them with new respect, and maybe a little fear. Commander Minja Kang walked through the station, checking the defense systems. She had been an astrophysicist on Earth. Now she led the station's protection team. For 15 years, she had worked on special weapons. The other purifier ships attacked harder, but more human ships arrived. The battle was quick. The human ships moved in ways the aliens had never seen. Their weapons worked in ways alien science said was impossible. In just 1 hour, the purifier ships were either captured or destroyed. From a safe distance, Confederation observation ships watched in shock. They had come to see humans lose another colony. Instead, they saw human ships defeat enemies that would have troubled even the Confederation's best warships. What have the humans been hiding? An alien observer asked. No one had an answer. The big room was filled with angry aliens. Some had tentacles, others had wings, and some didn't look like anything humans had seen before. High Counselor Zrixel, the leader of the Galactic Confederation, moved his 8 tentacles in angry motions. Explain yourselves immediately, Zrixel demanded. His voice boomed through the room. You hid an entire space city. You built advanced ships in secret. Admiral Dahian stood in front of the alien leaders. He wasn't scared. He wasn't nervous. He looked calm and confident. For 20 years, you watched our planet, Admiral Dahian said. You judged us as too simple and primitive. You wouldn't let us join your science teams or defense groups. Did you think we wouldn't notice your spy satellites? Did you think we would just sit and wait for you to accept us? The aliens looked at each other. Some made angry noises. Others looked worried. You lied to us, said a tall, thin alien with blue skin. No, Admiral Dahian replied. We just didn't tell you everything. The same way you didn't tell us everything. Professor Sungho Yoon stepped forward. He was the lead scientist from Olympus Station. He touched a small device on his wrist, and suddenly the room filled with 3D images showing Olympus Station. While you refused to answer our questions, we found our own answers, Sungho said. The 3D tour showed the aliens everything. They saw farms growing food inside the space station. They saw power systems that made energy in new ways. They saw factories that built things the aliens thought were impossible. This can't be real, said an insect-like alien scientist. I assure you, it is, Sungho replied. We can arrange visits if you wish to see it with your own eyes, or sensing organs. The alien leaders whispered to each other. Some looked angry. Some looked impressed. All looked surprised. Admiral Dahian touched another button. New 3D images appeared, showing other space stations hidden in different places in the solar system. Olympus is just one of several such stations, he said. Humans have always prepared for the worst while hoping for the best. A 6-armed alien scientist studied the details of the human ships. She looked at the engine designs and weapon systems with all 4 of her eyes wide open. This propulsion system, it combines ideas from 3 different science paths, she said. According to our understanding, this shouldn't work at all. Professor Sungho smiled. Yet it does work. Humans are good at connecting ideas that others miss. The 6-armed scientist looked at her fellow aliens. They mixed magnetic field theory with quantum tunneling and gravity manipulation. No single species in the Confederation has done this before. The meeting lasted many hours. The aliens asked hundreds of questions. Slowly, their attitude changed. The mockery was gone. The dismissal was gone. Now they looked at the humans with new eyes. At the end of the summit, High Counselor Zrixel's tentacles were calm. He stood tall and addressed the humans directly. It seems the Confederation has underestimated humanity's potential, he admitted. This was a significant error on our part. Admiral Dahian nodded. Yes, it was. What do humans want now? Zrixel asked. Revenge for our treatment? No, Admiral Dahian said. We want what we always wanted, to be treated as equals, to learn from you, and for you to learn from us. As the meeting ended, aliens who had laughed at humans just days before now looked at them with new respect, and maybe a little fear. What humans had done in secret had changed everything. The galaxy would never be the same. The new Earth Embassy shone under the three suns of the Confederation capital world. Just 1 year had passed since humans revealed Olympus Station, but everything had changed. Ambassador Juwu Park walked through the main hall of the embassy. Aliens of different shapes and sizes moved respectfully out of his way. No one laughed at humans anymore. High Representative Park, your meeting starts in 5 minutes, his assistant said. Juwu nodded. He still found his new title strange. High Representative was a rank only given to the most respected members of the Confederation. In the large meeting room, alien leaders waited. Some floated in the air. Some sat in special chairs made for their bodies. All watched Juwu with respect as he entered. The human-led research team has made another breakthrough, Juwu told them. The new medical tool can heal injuries for all known species. The aliens looked impressed. Working together with humans had brought more progress in 1 year than they had seen in 20 years before. Back in the solar system, Olympus Station had changed too. The once secret base was now the busiest place in human space. Ships from many alien worlds came and went all day. In one lab, Dr. Jai Kwan worked side by side with Vort, a blue-skinned alien scientist with 4 arms. The way humans solve problems is different, Vort said as they tested a new device. Your minds jump from one idea to another in ways we don't. Jihai smiled. We make connections that might seem strange at first. It would take my people centuries to think the way you do, Vort admitted. Working together, we can do amazing things. On Mars, the colony that was once attacked had been rebuilt bigger and better. New domes with alien plants inside stood next to human farms. The colony hosted the first big cultural event between species. Inside the main dome, alien visitors tried human food, listened to human music, and looked at human art. Humans learned alien songs and games. I never thought I'd see a day like this, said Juno, the Mars colony director, watching alien children play with human children. On Olympus Station's main deck, Admiral Dahian stood looking out the big window. His hair had more gray now, and he was thinking about retirement. The view outside showed ships from many worlds docking at the station. Commander Minje walked up beside him. Quite a view, isn't it? She asked. Yes, Dahian agreed. Hard to believe it's only been a year. Did you ever think we would end up here when we started Project Olympus? Minje asked. Dahian thought about it. I just hoped we would survive if things went badly, he admitted. This is much better than survival. Below them, in the central open area of the station, children played. Human children born on Olympus ran alongside the children of alien diplomats and scientists. Their different voices and laughs filled the air. The station that had once been humanity's biggest secret was now the place where humans and aliens came together. It was a bridge between different worlds. One small alien child fell while playing. A human girl helped her up. The alien child made a happy singing sound that meant thank you in her language. The human girl smiled. Dahian watched this simple moment and felt proud. Humans were no longer mocked or treated as less important. They had earned something better than just respect. They were now seen as special members of the galactic family, partners who brought new ideas that made life better for everyone. The future looked bright for Earth and all its people as they took their place among the stars. The end. Director Jin Hee-song nodded. Yes, Mr. President. Our deep space monitoring stations confirmed it 3 hours ago. An unknown vessel matching the Arkelian signatures from the Paradox's database has entered the Ta City system. It's moving cautiously, but its trajectory suggests it's conducting a systematic survey. The defense minister, a stern woman named Sujin Kwan, leaned forward. We've quietly dispatched the cruiser Dauntless to observe from a distance. They have strict orders not to engage or reveal themselves. Around the table, council members exchanged worried glances. The information downloaded from the Paradox had been distributed among them, and each had spent the past 48 hours reviewing the future that might await humanity. What are our options? Asked the science minister, an elderly man who had spent his career advocating for peaceful exploration. Admiral Hyun-Soo Lee, the highest-ranking military officer present, activated the holographic display in the center of the table. A three-dimensional image of the Paradox appeared, rotating slowly. Option 1. We use the Paradox as intended. The ship's systems are nearly operational, and according to Dr. Kim, it has gradually been teaching our engineers how to control its advanced technology. We could deploy it immediately as a show of force, and risk starting the very war we're trying to prevent, interrupted the Commerce Minister. Admiral Lee continued without acknowledging the comment. Option 2. We use the intelligence gathered from the Paradox to prepare our defenses and establish diplomatic protocols specifically tailored to Arkelian psychology. We approach first contact cautiously, from a position of knowledge if not strength. Option 3, said Foreign Minister Ji Hai-shin quietly. We destroy the Paradox now. If its existence has already altered our timeline by accelerating first contact, who knows what other unintended consequences it might cause? Perhaps the safest course is to remove the temporal anomaly entirely. A heavy silence fell over the room. The implications of each choice were staggering. President Ryu turned to a young woman sitting slightly apart from the main table. Lieutenant Park, you've had the most direct interaction with the ship. What's your assessment? Ju Park straightened in her chair, feeling the weight of every gaze in the room. Since the discovery, she had spent more time aboard the Paradox than anyone else, drawn to it by an inexplicable connection she was only beginning to understand. Mr. President, council members, she began, choosing her words carefully. The Paradox is not merely a weapon or a repository of information. It appears to possess a kind of awareness. It's been selecting specific individuals from our teams, granting them deeper access to its systems. Myself, Dr. Kim, Communications Specialist Kang, Cryptanalyst Lim, and others. It's as if the ship recognizes us. Recognizes you how? The science minister asked, leaning forward with interest. According to the message received by Specialist Kang, in the timeline where the Paradox originated, we were its creators, its crew. Ju paused, letting that sink in. I believe the ship was designed to find us specifically, to help us avoid the mistakes of that other timeline. Defense Minister Kwan scoffed. You're suggesting we base our entire strategic response on the notion that this vessel has some mystical connection to a handful of our personnel. I'm suggesting, Ju replied calmly, that the Paradox itself may be the key to understanding our best path forward. It didn't just bring us technology and intelligence. It brought us specific warnings about decisions that led to war. President Ryu nodded thoughtfully. What does the ship tell us about first contact with the Arkelians? In the original timeline, was it peaceful? Director Song consulted her tablet. Initially, yes. According to the historical data, the first meeting was cautious but cordial. Relations deteriorated over the following decade due to resource competitions in shared border systems, cultural misunderstandings, and a series of escalating military incidents. So war wasn't inevitable, the foreign minister noted. It was the result of specific choices we can now avoid. Ju added. The Paradox has provided detailed analyses of Arkelian culture, biology, and psychology. Their concept of honor, their communication patterns, even their sensory perceptions differ from ours in ways that led to critical misunderstandings. The Council digested this information in silence. Finally, Admiral Lee spoke again. "The aliens all think the same way," she told her team during training. "Each alien species follows its own science rules, but they don't mix ideas like we do. Humans connect different ideas. We think around corners. That will surprise them. The aliens never found Olympus Station. Humans used special shields that bent light and absorbed radar. The station looked like just another boring rock in Saturn's rings." Inside the main control room, Minji watched screens showing Ambassador Juwu and Admiral Daehyun being mocked by the aliens. Her team felt angry seeing how the aliens treated humans. Then, a message from Admiral Daehyun appeared on their main screen. "Protocol Olympus is now active." The room went quiet. Then people began moving quickly to their stations. This was the moment they had prepared for all these years. Minji stood tall and straightened her uniform. She looked at her team and spoke clearly. "Start the emergence protocols. Olympus Station is going public." Across the station, alarms sounded. People rushed to their positions. Giant engines, hidden for 20 years, began to warm up. In the ship bays, pilots ran to their advanced spacecraft. The time for hiding was over. Humanity's secret weapon was about to show itself to the galaxy. The red alarm lights flashed across Mars colony. People ran to safety bunkers as the first bombs hit. No one had expected an attack. "What's happening?" asked a scared colonist. Colony Director Juno Lee looked at his screen. "Alien ships. They're attacking us." The aliens called themselves the Purifiers. They were a small group that broke away from the Galactic Confederation. They believed humans should stay on Earth only. Seeing humans on Mars made them angry. "Humans are spreading like a disease," the Purifier leader told his soldiers. "We must stop them now." The Mars colony had 40,000 people. Most were families who came to build a new life. They had farms under glass domes and small factories. They had schools and hospitals. But they had very few weapons. The emergency call went out to Earth and to the Alien Confederation headquarters. On Earth, Emergency Coordinator Gina Lee called an urgent meeting. The alien representative joined by video call. "Our Mars colony is under attack. We need help," Gina said. The alien, with big bug-like eyes, seemed bored. "We can send ships to look at the situation in about 3 weeks." 3 weeks. Gina hit the table with her fist. 40,000 civilians are being attacked right now. The alien blinked slowly. "Perhaps you should have built better defenses before trying to live on Mars." Gina looked at the other humans in the room. They all knew Mars colony couldn't last 3 weeks, maybe not even 3 days. At that moment, Admiral Daehyun made his decision. "Get me a secure line to Olympus Station," he ordered. Far away near Saturn, Olympus Station received the message. Commander Minji gave the order everyone had trained for. "Start the engines. Open the ship bays. We are going to Mars." The giant engines on Olympus Station fired up. The fake asteroid covering fell away in pieces. For the first time in 20 years, the true Olympus Station was visible. A massive 5-kilometer space city built by humans in secret. Hundreds of hangar doors opened along its sides. Ships flew out, forming attack groups. These ships were nothing like the small, slow ships humans had shown to the aliens before. Captain Hyunwoo Ryu sat in the command chair of the lead ship, the Thunderbolt. "All ships report ready," his officer said. "Then let's save Mars," Hyunwoo replied. The ships jumped to light speed using technology the aliens thought humans didn't have. The trip to Mars took hours instead of months. When they arrived, the scene was bad. 3 large purifier ships were shooting at the Mars domes. Parts of the colony were already on fire. The colonists were sending desperate messages. "This is Captain Ryu of Earth Defense Force." Hyunwoo broadcast to the alien ships. Stop your attack immediately. The Purifier ships turned toward the human fleet. They fired their weapons at the Thunderbolt. But nothing happened. The shots hit a shield that absorbed all the energy. Impossible, the Purifier commander said. Their ships should be destroyed. Show them what we can really do, Captain Him ordered. The Thunderbolt fired a single shot. The energy beam cut through the Purifier ship's shields like they weren't there. The alien ship's engines died. There's another factor to consider. The Paradox's weapon systems are beyond anything we've ever developed. If we chose to use the ship aggressively, we could potentially eliminate the Archelian threat before it ever materializes, or ensure that war becomes inevitable, countered the science minister. If our first action upon meeting a new species is overwhelming military aggression, how would that shape all our future encounters? The debate continued for hours, growing increasingly heated. Some council members argued for immediate military preparation, others for diplomatic initiatives based on the Paradox's cultural intelligence. The most cautious voices still advocated for destroying the ship entirely, fearing its temporal influence more than any alien threat. Throughout the arguments, Zhu remained silent, watching the holographic image of the Paradox rotate slowly above the table. Something about the ship called to her, a connection she couldn't explain but felt with absolute certainty. When the council took a brief recess, she slipped away to a private communication terminal and contacted the research team still aboard the mysterious vessel. Taehyun, she said when the engineer's face appeared on the screen, has there been any change in the ship's status? Dr. Kim looked exhausted but excited. Actually, yes. About 20 minutes ago, new systems began coming online automatically. Geo says the communication array is preparing for a transmission, though he can't determine the target yet. Jumu felt a chill. The council hasn't made any decisions yet. Why would the ship be activating now? I don't know, but there's something else. Taehyun lowered his voice. The main computer displayed a message addressed specifically to you. It says, "Time grows short. The decision is yours, Captain Park." Captain, Ju repeated, confused. I'm a lieutenant. Not according to the Paradox, Taehyun replied. Ju, I think the ship is expecting you to take command. When Ju returned to the council chamber, the debate had devolved into circular arguments. President Ryu looked increasingly frustrated as ministers talked over each other, proposing ever more complex plans. Mr. President, Ju said during a momentary lull, her voice stronger than she had intended. I need to share something with the council. All eyes turned to her as she described the ship's recent activation and the message addressed to her. It seems the Paradox has its own timeline, she concluded, and it's running out. President Ryu studied her face carefully. What are you suggesting, Lieutenant? Ju took a deep breath. I'm suggesting that the ship chose us for a reason. Me, Dr. Kim, Specialist Kang, and the others. If the Paradox was sent back to find specific individuals, perhaps it's because we're meant to make this decision, not a council. The room erupted in outrage. Defense Minister Kwan was particularly vocal. This is absurd. You're proposing that a handful of junior officers and civilian scientists should determine the future of human-Archelian relations based on a message from a ship that shouldn't even exist. I'm proposing, Ju replied steadily, that perhaps the lesson of the Paradox isn't about technology or tactical advantages. Perhaps it's about trust, about believing that our future selves knew exactly what they were doing when they sent this ship to find us. President Ryu raised his hand for silence. Lieutenant Park, what exactly are you asking for? Ju squared her shoulders. Permission to take the designated team aboard the Paradox and make contact with the Archelian scout ship using the protocols and knowledge provided by the ship itself. The request hung in the air like a physical thing. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then, from an unexpected quarter, came support. Admiral Lee nodded slowly. The Paradox clearly has capabilities we don't fully understand. If it's chosen specific people to interface with its systems, perhaps we should trust its judgment. President Ryu closed his eyes briefly, weighing the options. When he opened them, his decision was made. Lieutenant Park, you have 48 hours to prepare your team. The Paradox is yours to command. Ju Park stood on the bridge of the Paradox, her hands resting lightly on the command console. The ship hummed beneath her feet, a living thing eager for action after its long sleep. Through the main viewport, the stars looked oddly bright, as if she were seeing them with new eyes. Captain, Taehyun called from the engineering station, still stumbling over her new rank. All systems are online. The temporal drive is stabilized. Jumu nodded, feeling strangely calm despite the enormity of what they were about to attempt. In the 36 hours since President Ryu had given them control of the Paradox, the ship had transformed from a mysterious artifact to a fully operational warship. It had guided them through its systems with patient instruction, teaching them to operate technology that shouldn't exist for decades. Ji-ho, open a channel to the Dauntless, she ordered. Let's inform Admiral Choi we're ready to proceed. The young communications specialist worked his console with growing confidence. Channel open, Captain. Admiral Dongwen Choi's weathered face appeared on the main screen. He had been skeptical of their mission at first, but the Paradox's capabilities had gradually won his respect. Lieutenant, excuse me, Captain Park, he corrected himself. The Arkelian vessel has maintained its position at the edge of the TAS CD system. Our sensors indicate they've detected the Dauntless, but they've made no aggressive moves. Are you certain this is the best approach? Ju glanced at Yunji, who nodded encouragingly from the tactical station. The Paradox's data is clear, Admiral. The Arkelians respect strength, but are suspicious of deception. A direct approach with a clear display of our capabilities will establish the right tone for first contact. Very well. The Admiral didn't look entirely convinced. The Dauntless will maintain position as ordered. Good luck, Captain Park, for all our sakes. As the communication ended, Ju turned to her impromptu crew. 6 individuals chosen by the Paradox itself. None had held command positions before. None had trained for first contact protocols. Yet somehow, standing at their stations on this impossible ship, they looked as if they had been preparing for this moment their entire lives. Navigation, Ju said to Min Seo-yoon, a former shuttle pilot who had been working as a technician on the Discovery when the Paradox was found. Take us into the TAS CD system. Direct approach to the Arkelian vessel. 1/4 power. 1/4 power, Minseo replied, her fingers dancing across controls that had been incomprehensible 2 days ago. The Paradox moved with impossible grace. There was no sensation of acceleration, no vibration or thrust. One moment they were near Earth, the next they were streaking through space, faster than any human vessel had ever traveled. Arrival in 3 minutes, Minseo reported. The Arkelian ship has detected us. They're powering weapon systems. Ju felt a momentary doubt. The intelligence from the future had outlined this moment in detail, but now that it was happening, the stakes seemed overwhelming. One mistake could start the very war they were trying to prevent. Defensive systems online, Yunji reported calmly, but inactive as instructed. Open a channel when we're in range. Ju ordered. Prepare the greeting sequence exactly as programmed. The Paradox slowed as it approached the Arkelian scout ship, a sleek, bronze-colored vessel with what appeared to be organic components integrated into its metallic hull. It was beautiful in an alien way, with flowing lines and structures that served purposes human engineers couldn't begin to guess. We're in position, Minseo announced. 500-kilometer separation. Their weapons are fully charged, Yunji added. Multiple targeting systems locked on us. Ju took a deep breath. Ji-ho, begin transmission. The message they sent was unlike any first contact protocol in human history. Based on the Paradox's detailed knowledge of Arkelian culture, it began with a mathematical sequence establishing intelligence, followed by a specific pattern of light pulses that, according to the ship's database, would be recognized as a formal greeting in the Arkelian honor tradition. For nearly a minute, there was no response. The Archelian ship remained motionless, weapons ready. Then, suddenly, a return signal flashed across Geo's console. They're responding. The pattern matches what the paradox predicted. It's a formal acknowledgement. Tension on the bridge eased slightly. The first hurdle had been cleared. Move to Phase 2, Ju ordered. The paradox transmitted a series of images and symbols carefully designed to establish peaceful intent while simultaneously demonstrating technological sophistication. It was a delicate balance, showing enough strength to command respect without appearing threatening. This time, the Archelian response came more quickly. A similar series of images, but with subtle variations that Geo quickly identified thanks to the ship's translating systems. "They're curious," he reported. "They're asking who we are, and how we know their greeting protocols." Ju nodded. This was the critical moment. Send the proposed response.